Hey everyone, happy end of the week. You're listening to Weekly Weather Brief, where we're covering the top weather stories of the week in 10 minutes or less. I'm meteorologist Kerrin Jeromin alongside my incredibly talented and amazing co-host. Introduce yourself.
Oh, the compliments get better every week. I'm meteorologist Emily Gracey. Well, Kerrin, how's it going?
Doing well today, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine, but I didn't get snowed on this week. So I'm curious. We haven't talked about this yet. How much snow did you get?
You know, it's one of those things. We had a storm a month ago, and that was like nearly 2 feet. And then we got a little spits, and then we got this past storm this week, and the wind was so strong, it was just blowing everything around. So I couldn't take a proper measurement at my house, but I know we ended up with about a foot here in the Hartford area. So I was sad. I couldn't go out and take measurements because we had drifts that were like 3 feet over here, and then my driveway was cleared.
You're not going to like this. I jumped in the ocean this week. That's how my week went. If it makes you feel any better, it was very cold. But no, I was in Florida, quick trip to Florida. So I took a little, I hate to call it a cold plunge. It was cold, but when you're jumping in the Gulf, it doesn't really count, I don't think, as a cold plunge. There was no like floating chunks of ice. I don't know. Does it?
I mean, if it's cold to you,
it
don't
was
sell yourself
cold to me.
short.
It was cold to me, Kerrin. Thank you.
Good job. No, that sounds great. I know a lot of folks are trying to escape the storm, but this one was fun. I had to enjoy this one because it's like, this is the stuff that makes meteorologists, right? The storm that happened this week, the big nor'easter, the big bomb cyclone, the big whatever you want to call it. It was a good one for the Northeast.
Maybe it inspired like a new meteorologist out there somewhere along the coastline of New England. This is like the one they're going to remember and they're going to become a meteorologist. But it is a good question. Like, what are we calling this? I have heard so many different names. We've heard blizzard. We've heard, winter storm, nor'easter. I saw somebody wrote blizzicane on Facebook, and I was like, that doesn't really roll off the tongue. And it sounds like something you would buy at Dairy Queen.
I would totally eat that, but I don't like it for clickbait, that's for sure. That one's a new one to me, but I think you can call it a blizzard, right? There were places across Mass and Rhode Island that technically meet that blizzard criteria.
And then, of course, bomb cyclone, when it drops down in 24 hours, is dropping more than 24 millibars. And it did that. It dropped 41 millibars in 24 hours. So almost double that threshold for a bomb cyclone. So there was no doubt there that it absolutely was. But it explains, too, kind of those snowfall totals, just when you think about that intensity of what was happening and the deepening low that was happening. There's a lot of things kind of floating around, and I think really it's kind of encompassing all of our worst nightmares when it comes to winter storms, and that's why it produced the snowfall totals that we saw.
Worst nightmares, nightmares. To some people, worst nightmares, right? Like I go back and forth. You know me, I love a good trip to Florida in the middle of winter, but again, these big storms, they're kind of cool. They're kind of exciting. It's probably what got me into weather as a kid because I grew up in New England too. So like these are the cool ones, right? Because you're as a kid, your school's closed, which there were so many school closures this week. It's not great, of course, when it comes with cold and wind and of course impacts to people who don't have shelter. Those things are never good, right? But there is a lot of excitement about a good old storm, I think, in the Northeast.
Yeah, for sure. I get that excitement too. But I mean, the stuff that we're still hearing about is people still recovering with like the power outages and trapped in their homes and no heat and, no access to medical care and ambulances that can't get to people. So all of that definitely scary as well.
Yeah, there are all different facets of these storms for sure, good and bad. Yeah, we hope everyone is recovering okay and staying warm. But yeah, it was quite the storm this week. I think one of the highest totals I saw was 37.9 inches. It was in the Providence, Rhode Island area at the airport, and it broke an all-time record for snowfall, not only for a largest storm, actually beat out the big blizzard of 78, which people kind of use as their benchmark for storms around here. That was like the storm. So it beat out that. It was also the biggest single day snowfall in the area, like a single day total. So that was, record breaker there for the Providence area. And I think everywhere from like the Delmarva up to New Hampshire picked up about 1 to 3 feet of snow at like the, not coastal, but, not like interior New England, but kind of that southern New England stretch. So it was a pretty big storm, pretty big deal for a lot of people.
It is funny that when you see like 1 to 3 written on a map, you're like, inches. No. It was feet. That is wild. Seeing people standing with like up to their waist in feet of snow.
Yeah. I've run out of places to put my snow at this point. So waving the little white flag here on the snow.
Well, you love your stats. I love my satellite images. you know what I saw this week that stood out to me was the satellite imagery showing the lightning popping within this thing, which is just
Very
wow. It
cool.
just goes to show like the convective energy, just how much moisture was in there when you have like thunderstorms essentially happening, and the fact that it was being picked up on satellite imagery. That was
Very
a really
cool.
beautiful image to me, and a little haunting too, because even though the low was offshore at that point, just how much energy was in it.
Yeah. Have you ever seen thundersnow?
I haven't. Have you?
I have. It's very cool. It's very bizarre.
I don't
It's like
think I have. I could be wrong. I think there's a chance I did when I was in college in Asheville, North Carolina, but clearly it didn't stick with me that well. No, I have a bucket list of weather phenomenon I need to see, and I think thunder snow needs to make a bigger impact for sure.
I
I
want
need
to
a
hear about
real
that
good
list.
like Jim Cantori moment, where I'm just blown away by it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to hear about that weather bucket list, by the way. Maybe that's a whole separate show, but
That is a
definitely
whole
thundersnow is
separate
cool.
show. Okay, so while we're talking about big records that happened this week, there was kind of this breaking news, and maybe in the weather world, it was breaking news and not for everybody else. But remember Hurricane Melissa back, this past season? Hurricane Melissa made
Of course.
landfall, Jamaica. Didn't impact the United States, but man, did we hear about it, and man, was it impactful to Jamaica, and just like memorable images that we saw coming out of that stuck with us. Well, new report, they did the post-storm analysis, and they came out with it this week and determined that the winds were actually a little higher than they previously thought. So they bumped it from 185 190, and we were just discussing this like kind of after the storm. But how do you know? Is I think the question there, right? So do you want to explain that? Like, how do we know months later that the winds went up?
Yeah, I mean, the report spells it all out, and we'll put the report link in the show notes so you can read it yourself too. These are great. They do them for every tropical cyclone postseason, but basically, we knew Melissa was a beast at the time, right? We knew that it was just seemingly one of, if not the strongest hurricane that we knew of in the Atlantic. And this post analysis report verified that, saying that basically combining the actual observations from the Hurricane Hunter aircraft, the look on satellite presentation, the dropsondes that were happening, all the data that they're getting during the storm, they had said 185, like you said, but then looking at it again and noticing particularly that when the storm seemed to be at its peak intensity, the hurricane hunters couldn't sample all areas of the storm, and particularly the areas that looked most intense. And so in that analysis, they said, yep, it's likely that the estimated wind speeds were a little higher, and again, bumped it up to 190, which interestingly now makes it tied with the strongest hurricane on record in the Atlantic basin. So
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
And that was Hurricane Allen back in 1980. So before you or I were even born. So in our
Yes.
lifetime, which is what
Yeah.
really matters. This is the strongest hurricane in the Atlantic. And just to be clear, that did not occur at landfall. They're sticking with their winds at landfall. So this happened shortly before. But yeah, really interesting that you can go back and take a look at, storms after. Even like you think about some storms like Hurricane Andrew, they bumped that up to a Cat 5 10 years after. So I guess it's a matter of like, do we have time to look at this? Do we have the ability to research this and look into, all of the details of this and determine, did we get this exactly right? Because small little tweaks can really affect the record books, clearly.
Yeah. And better information now, of course, too, right? We're getting like minute by minute satellite data and all this great stuff, all this great technology that we can use, which again, props to the National Hurricane Center. They always do a great job, not only in forecasts, but in reanalysis and verification of the season. So big props to
Yep.
them for this great
Lots of
report.
great partnerships with some of the
Yes.
private entities out there that they're working with too, that are just all the more information we have, the better we're going to do at all of it. So,
Yep.
well,
Exactly.
Kerrin, happy end of meteorological winter. It's coming to an end this weekend.
It is this weekend. We turn the
Woohoo!
corner. I've already decorated for spring, so I'm mentally
Have
there,
you?
but we'll make it
There's like
official
little
this
Easter eggs
weekend.
hanging out in your house already.
Little flowers, fake ones because the real ones don't survive. I kill them all the time. Got any big
Well,
plans for spring, Emily? I think it's going to be
I
a good
don't.
one for us.
I hope so. I think we deserve it after the week of and months of wintry weather that certainly you've had up there in New England. So
Yeah,
hopefully, let's hope for some warmer weather and a turnaround to some spring-like conditions.
I believe the outlook shows that for much of the country.
Ooh, I like that tease. We'll have to tune in
Yes.
next week and see where that's going.
All right, my friend, always great to talk with you. And hey, everyone out there listening, don't forget to let us know what you think of the show. We're just getting going here, so you can follow us on your favorite podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, YouTube as well.
Thank you for watching and listening. Bye, Kerrin. Good to see you.
Bye. Have a good weekend. Happy spring.